All right, this is Mr. Wyrick, and this is your semester exam review. I've got both parts here. On the part one, these first 8 are actually just, we are taking the 2 parts and we're putting them together. So this one is going to be 2x plus 26 plus 2x plus 21 is equal to 7. It seems all kind of backwards, but we know it's just the 2 parts are going to add together to make the whole thing. That's going to be 4x, because I'm combining like terms, plus, this is going to be 47 is equal to 7. We subtract 47 from both sides. We come up with 4x is equal to a negative 40. We divide by 4, and we get x is negative 10. X being negative 10 is fine. You might need to check the math, go back in, see if it works. It's okay if your x is a negative. It's not okay if the segments are negative. So that's why you always go back in, check. On 5, 6, 7, 8, it's doing a similar kind of thing. Down here on number 8, 2x minus 4 equals, or plus, sorry, 1 equals x plus 5. So that's going to be 2x minus 3 equals x plus 5. I subtract my x. I get rid of the smaller one first. That's x minus 3 is equal to 5. I add 3 to both sides. I get x is equal to 8. But it's not asking for x on this one. It's asking you to find from h to g. So I do 2 times 8 instead of 2 times x minus 4. That's 16 minus 4, which is 12. Okay? Don't forget the distance formula. It's the same as Pythagorean theorem. So if you're going to do distance formula, just set up your triangle, work Pythagorean theorem. That'll get you in the best shape for answering those questions. Distance between 2 points on a number line. If you need to see the number line, you can, but it's not actually a requirement. From 5 down to negative 1, it takes 5 moves to get to 0 and 1 more to get to negative 1. That's a distance of 6. The midpoint of the line segment, you just average the 2 values. Negative 10 and negative 9 would go together to make negative 19. So that's a negative 9.5 for the x value. For the y value, between 2 and negative 1, it's going to be 1/2. Okay? So that's it. If you get stuck on this one again, see if you can like sketch it out, graph it out, and just make sure the point is in the middle of them. There's right, acute, and obtuse. We'll kind of go back over those again on the second one. Complementary angles add together to make 90. Supplementary angles add together to make 180. A conjecture is a conclusion based on a pattern or evidence. A counterexample is something that you can say that will prove the statement not true. So like we looked at this one, if you're in math class and you were geometry, it's false. It's a false statement. And our counterexample would be algebra 1. You could be in a math class and be in algebra 1. You would not be in geometry. That's counterexample. The 4 versions of conditional statements are the original conditional, and then the inverse, the converse, and the contrapositive. Remember, the inverse adds the word not to both parts, the hypothesis and the conclusion. The converse switches the order, and the contrapositive does both of those things. That might be some good stuff to look over, because again, it's going to be a multiple choice test, and it's going to be about which one of those is like what is the contrapositive of this statement kind of thing. Show examples using, the addition property is like we add 5 to each side and it's still equal. The subtraction property, same kind of thing. The multiplication property, if we multiply x by 3, we multiply the other side by 3. The division property, if we divide by 3, we're going to divide the other side. And the distributive property, that one's like 2 times x plus 5, and we distribute that, so we get 2x plus 10. The corresponding alternate interior, alternate exterior, and consecutive angles are ones that we had on this next page. The alternate exterior are these outside ones. They're congruent. The corresponding are these. They're in the same relative location of those intersections. The consecutive are going to be supplementary. They're going to add up to 180, and the alternate interior are going to be equal. These consecutive ones adding to 180 is something that comes up again and again when you look at parallelograms, trapezoids, all of those, okay? Slope is change in y over change in x. Parallel lines have the same slope. Perpendicular lines have the opposite reciprocal slope. You flip it over, you change the sign. On the review part 2, you classify it by its angle and by its sides. When you go to classify by angle, you just look for the biggest one. This is the biggest angle in this one. It's a 90-degree angle. So this is a right triangle. All of them are the exact same. This is equiangular. On this one, the 114 is the biggest. It's bigger than 90. This is an obtuse triangle. On this one, 79 is the biggest angle. It's smaller than 90. This is an acute triangle. Okay? Then when you go back and you take a look at the sides, you just see how many are equal. On this one, we have 2 sides that are equal. So this is an isosceles triangle. On this one, all of them are equal. It's equilateral. Now, I have to tell you, as far as classification goes, all equilateral triangles are equiangular. All equiangular triangles are equilateral, but probably they will only call them equilateral. They won't mess with anything else. On this obtuse one, none of the rest of the sides are the same, so it's scalene. And on the acute one, none of the rest of the sides are the same, so it is also scalene. If you have 2 sides the same, it's an isosceles triangle. That means 2 of the angles are also going to be the same. So just be on the lookout for stuff like that. The measure of the angle, all 3 angles of a triangle are going to add up together to be 180. So all you really have to do on 5 and 6 is just subtract. If we subtract 90, because that's what this little corner here means, that gives us 90. We subtract 50 from that. We come up with 40 for the missing value. You'll do the same kind of thing over here. Solving for x on this is the same steps. We know they're going to add up to 180. We subtract the 140 for this biggest angle. That leaves us 40. We subtract the 20 for that other angle. That leaves us with 20. And this is 2x plus 4 is equal to that 20. So we finish solving for x by subtracting 4. That's 2x equals 16, divided by 2, and x is 8. You do the exact same thing over here, except this one is marked with these 2 angles being the same, meaning it's an isosceles triangle. These are going to be the exact same value, so 2x plus 31 is going to equal 7. Solving for x down here, I apologize, these are a little faded. You might be able to see it better if you look at the copy that's posted in the Google Classroom. But it's the 2 angles opposite the exterior angle add together to make that exterior angle. So this is 4x plus 6 plus 64 is equal to 13x plus 7. This is going to give us 4x plus 70 equals 13x plus 7. I subtract my 4x from both sides. I get 70 equals 9x plus 7. I subtract 7 from both sides. That's 63 is equal to 9x. I divide by 9. I get x is 7. Okay? A lot of work there, but nothing super complicated. Set it up, work it through. If you can remember that they're equal, this is a multiple choice math test, so you can kind of just sub things back in and work your way through like that. On 11 and 12, a statement that indicates the triangles in each pair are congruent. The thing here on 11 and 12 is going to be the order of the lines. This one has 1 hash mark. It's equal to the one with 1 hash mark. This angle has 1. This angle has 1. I would put those first. So triangle, and I'll start with Q, and triangle, I'll start with V. I'm going to go to the one that has 2. This has 2 hash marks. So QR, this has 2 hash marks. This is 2. So VU. And then this has 3. QRS is congruent to VU. Here's my one with 3. W. Okay? The order is what's important. And then each piece of that has to go in that same order. Angle Q and angle V. Segment RS and segment UW. So just make sure you're paying attention to the order. State if the two triangles are congruent. If they are, how you know. So they give us our options of how these triangles can be congruent. Side, 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 angle, side, angle, angle, side. You may need to look back through your notes or look back at the notes that are posted in the classroom and how that proves it congruent. This first one, 13, is side, side, side. This one has an angle and a side, and then these are vertical angles here. So this would be angle, side, angle. They're still going to be congruent. On this last one, though, oh no, we have vertical angles here, and then another angle, and then this. This is angle, angle, side. The most missed thing when we took this test was the people that couldn't remember the difference between angle, side, angle, and angle, angle, side. So make sure you kind of pay attention to how that goes together. An angle bisector cuts the angle in half. So this one gives us ZXY, that's the whole thing. Each part is going to be half. 36 divided by 2 is 18. Okay, they give us these two angles. They tell us that it's angle 1 and angle 2. If we know it's a bisector, they're going to be equal. 14x plus 2 equals 31x minus 2. Subtract 14x. That's going to be 17x. We had 2, is equal to, oh no, yeah, is equal to 4. Oh no, I did that wrong. Okay, good thing I did that. Now, it's terrible to work things wrong, but make sure that you read through the problem. This one, ZXY, is going to be the whole thing, and this is going to be half. So I actually need to double this one. So forget about that work. This is going to be 28x plus 4 is equal to 31x minus 2. So we subtract 28x. This is going to give us a way better answer. 4 is equal to 3x minus 2. We add 2. That's 6 is equal to 3x. We divide by 3, and we get x is equal to 2. It still doesn't give us what they're asking for, and what they're asking for is the measure of ZXY. So we need to put this 2 back in here. 31 times 2 is going to be 62 minus 2 is 60 for the measure of the angle. Okay, so there's a lot there. The medians, make sure you're looking at what this line is supposed to be. If it's a median, it's going to take this side and cut it in half. So this says VJ is 9, VH is also going to be 9. This one, again, it's the whole thing. It's going to cut it in half. LC is negative 11 plus 2x. LD is x minus 3. Those are going to be equal. We're going to end up with x is equal to 14. Okay? Set them equal, take a look at it. The medians are also the ones that intersect and they have the 1/3, 2/3 thing. If PU is 4, that's 2/3 because it goes to there. This is going to be 1/3, which is half of that, so it's going to be 2. The whole thing is going to be 6. 2 is 1/3 of that. 4 is 2/3 of that. That's the only one that has that relationship is the medians. Again, you might need to look back through those individual notes. They're all posted in the Google Classroom by week. All right? And this would all be, I think, chapter 5 was triangles, so that's what we're going to deal with for most of that. Same kind of thing through the rest of those if it's all medians. Two sides of a triangle have the following measures. Remember, any two sides of the triangle have to add together to be bigger than the third side. So the smallest this can be is the side has to be bigger than 4. Okay, I wrote that the wrong way. All right, the smallest side has to be bigger than 4. When we look at it the other way, 8 plus 12 is going to add together to make 20. So 20 is as big as it could possibly get. It has to be smaller than that because any two sides have to add together to be bigger than the third one. Okay? Add them together for the big number, subtract them for the small number. That's all you have to do. Order the angles in the triangle from smallest to largest. The way that the sides go, if you go opposite of that, it'll give you the angles. So 19 is the smallest side, which means angle V is the smallest. 23 is the next, which means angle U is the middle one. And then 24 is the biggest side, so angle T is the largest angle. Same thing down here with the next one. When it gives us the angles in order, across from this 38 is side EC. That's the smallest one. Aside from this, across from this 51 is going to be ED. And then the combination of letters we haven't used yet, DC, is going to be my biggest side because it's across from the biggest angle. Okay, the last stuff that's on here is the stuff that we just did. Okay, it's quadrilaterals, it's the figures with 4 sides. They add together to be 360 on the inside. It doesn't look like we have a lot of the stuff with like the individual angles and things like that. So we could be in good shape depending on how that worked for you. Just remember this one, the whole thing's going to add together to be 360. Just subtract the rest of those angles. On this, it's a parallelogram. Those opposite ones are equal. The opposite sides are equal. If they're consecutive angles, they're going to add together to make 180. On the trapezoid, the median's in the middle. 21 to 31 is 10. So it's really just 5 more to get here in the middle. So this is going to equal 26. Because that'd be exactly in the middle of 21 and 31, then I need to solve that. I would add 4, that's 10x is equal to 30, so x is 3. Again, this being a multiple choice test, you can take the answers, kind of sub them in and see what works. These two are going to add together to make 180, so just set it up, 8x plus 12 plus 72 equals 180. And when you have a trapezoid, and it's marked, like this one is supposed to be, it's hard to see it, as an isosceles trapezoid, those diagonals are going to be the same. 4x minus 21 is equal to 23. If you did well on this last test, this information should still be pretty fresh for you. If not, you might need to go back, and again, you can look at the review, you can look at the notes, they're all posted, all right? Your test is coming up. Make sure you take a look over the stuff, study a little bit, and good luck.